This is Free Speech News, and every day we have more and more evidence of election fraud. And so yesterday we had the breaking news of the day, the DNI report, part of the 2018 executive order. And this was regarding foreign interference in the 2020 election, and it has been delayed. And I'll tell you why it's been delayed in a second, but we have a joint statement from the FBI, CISA, and DNI. And part of it states that these three organizations have formed a cyber unified coordination group to coordinate whole of government response to this significant cyber incident. And you notice how they said this cyber incident exclusively. And then there's a delay. So I wonder what is going on behind the scenes. And with the rumblings of SolarWinds connected to Dominion and how they were connected all across government, it's pretty interesting. And obviously there is some big information that DNI knows. And of course, you know the mainstream media, which they're already saying and have been saying, it's Russia. They have these anonymous sources that come out of nowhere, and you know they constantly want to blame Russia. And you know that there is disagreements in the intel community / the deep state parts of the intel community. And this report was to be finished and delivered to the president tomorrow. But I get why DNI wants to hold this back, because China was obviously involved, and he's already said that in the election. But they're a lot more involved than, say, some of these agencies in the intel community want to put on this report. And it should be on this report. But of course, we know that the deep state is partners with the CCP. And they don't want anything bad to be said about them. So I am glad that he is not signing off on this. Because China is the number one enemy, not Russia, like they always want to portray. They always want to blame Russia. And it's been reported that from sources, and this is from Newsmax, that there is raw intelligence that is pretty damning and much more expansive on the efforts of China implemented in order to counter a possibility that there would be a Trump second term. Because we all know China doesn't want Trump in office. Trump knows what China has been doing. But it's evidence like this that I'm sure DNI Ratcliffe wants in the report. And it's breaking news that just came in of the United States Energy Department taking measures to prevent hacks from China. And honestly, that tells me that they know something that we don't. And it also said that the Department of Energy and National Nuclear Security Administration, which oversees the United States' massive nuclear weapons stockpile, and they have evidence that hackers breached their networks as a part of a far-reaching espionage operation that has impacted at least 6 federal agencies. And we know there's a lot of components that come from China, China's software, etc. But they are going after our nuclear weapons. This is unheard of. They are going after all parts of government. And this really seems to me like an act of war, honestly. When you're going after nuclear weapons or nuclear weapon infrastructure, that is an act of war. And we'll see what comes of that. Now, we also have election news, and the Supreme Court is extremely slow walking the Sidney Powell case. And the reason why might be this. Watch this video.
Line that talks it was written by someone who's a current staffer for one of the Supreme Court justices. And this, I'll just describe the report to you that I read, and you can make of it what you will. He said that the justices, as they always do, went into a closed room to discuss, cases they're taking or do debate. There's no phones, no computers, no nothing. No one else is in the room except for the 9 justices. It's typically very civil. They usually don't hear any sound. They just debate what they're doing. But when the Texas case was brought up, he said he heard screaming through the walls as Justice Roberts and the other liberal justices were insisting that this case not be taken up. And the reason, the words that were heard through the wall when Justice Thomas and Justice Alito were citing Bush versus Gore from John Roberts were, I don't give a about that case. I don't want to hear about it. At that time, we didn't have riots. So what he was saying was that he was afraid of what would happen if they did the right thing. And I'm sorry, but that is moral cowardice. And we in the SREC, I'm an SREC member, we put those words in very specifically because the charge of the Supreme Court is to ultimately be our final arbitrator, our final line of defense for right and wrong. And they did not do their duty. So I think we should leave these words in because I want to send a strong message to them. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment to the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I raise a point of order against further consideration.
I mean, that's just incredible. If that statement is true, we have the Supreme Court, who is our last defense for the rule of law. And as we've seen, they're only ruling on standing, not on merits. Basically giving an excuse to walk away, an excuse not to at least hear the case. And now, the Sidney Powell case for Georgia and Michigan, They are giving the states until January 14th to reply to the lawsuit. And then the Arizona and Wisconsin lawsuits just got thrown out. No reasoning, no answer, nothing. And they're just trying to stay out of it. It's absolutely incredible. When the rule of law has been broken, Supreme Court, that's where it gets settled. And it is not being settled out of fear of riots and the backlash. Or are they staying out of it for other reasons? They know this election was stolen. They know the evidence is there. They've seen the affidavits. They've seen the evidence. They've seen these lawsuit reports. It's in every single one of them. And they're scared of Antifa and BLM. Are you kidding me? This is not America. Is the Supreme Court bought by the CCP? Because it seems like they are working for somebody. Because they are not working for the American people. I can tell you that right now. If they were, they would have at least heard the case. And I hope, but I know that justice will prevail. And the corrupt in the end will be exposed. And after it's all said and done, and when the facts are laid out, and the whole United States knows that this election was a fraud, then they will know that we, the people, have won.